Hello and welcome to Skeindeer. My name is Ellie and I am a Norwegian living and knitting in London, and you can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as Skeindeer. We'll get to that. And I have a Skeindeer design pattern, oh my god. And I have a shop for knitting patterns. I'm a knitting pattern designer. I make a lot of Norwegian Scandi inspired stuff, but also kind of dabble in the sort of more modern stuff, and sometimes I do a little bit more sort of vintage stuff. Lots of color work and otherwise, and some things just plain stuck in it. Check it out. Clothes, accessories, what have you. So yeah, it's been a minute since I recorded. Those of you who watched the last episode can probably guess as to why it has taken me a good while to return here. Quick little recap. I moved into this lovely flat that is all mine in January, at the very end of January, and I've been talking for way longer about wanting to get a little puppy. Well, I want a dog. It's just regrettable that they start out as puppies, which they are delightful, but my goodness, is it also a lot of work. So I have had lots of dogs growing up. I've had, I think, like 7 miniature schnauzers, and my mom suddenly has a bolonka for some reason. And yeah, I think I raised like 4 schnauzers from puppies to adults, so I know what I'm doing, but I have never done it alone. Completely on my own. Not my sister around, not my mum around, just me. And I can't go anywhere because she's too young to be left alone, and she can't go anywhere because she's not yet, she has had the vaccine now actually, but it needs 2 weeks to kick in, and we're only 1 week in. So without further ado, let me introduce you to Embla. This is Embla, that's the name I landed on. Isn't she adorable? She's so cute and she bites so much. One of the commands I have successfully taught her is don't bite, where she changes to licking whatever she's biting so that she can sneak in a little nibble every now and then. So yeah, I named her Embla. Some people think I named her after the yarn made by Hillesvåg. I did not. I actually hadn't thought about that at all. Hillesvåg does have a yarn called Embla to kind of be the thicker version of Ask. Ask and Embla are the first sort of humans according to Norse mythology, so even though that's the origin, it's just a given name that is very Norwegian sounding, but also has the same pronunciation in English, which is what I was going for. I wanted something that's 2 syllables, sounds the same, you can just write it and you can figure out how it's pronounced. So not very complicated. But here she is in all her puppy excellence. Embla, don't bite. Just be nice. Can you please be nice? Can you please be nice? Be nice to the camera. She has no idea what we're doing. Why is mommy talking so much? Because usually when I talk it's to her. So this is not going to be a puppy episode. It is a knitting episode. I have knitting to talk about, but I think the majority will center around this little gremlin here. What can we say about Embla? She is, what, 13 weeks old now, I think? Soon. She's been living with me for nearly 5 weeks, and goodness me, she's still peeing inside. I am going loopy. She just seems to prefer it, even if I can get her out in time. She just kind of like just likes the floor more. So I'm washing it with this like odor removing stuff, and it's working only so much. But she's doing all her number 2s outside very consistently. She had a very good handle of that right from the beginning. She sleeps in a separate room from me since probably the 5th night she was here. She's doing so well. I am very, very proud of her. And yesterday we had a successful walk back and forth. We've done a few like half here and there and like trying to lead in the park, things like that. Now she's just like full on doing the walk on a lead. It's great. Do you mind? I was very like intent on teaching her, you know, positive commands, stuff like that. That's what I believe in. That's what the science shows. But my goodness, has the no command come in handy already? There's some things I just can't, you know, rush across the room to stop her doing. So it's some things you gotta just like, just no, absolutely not. But yeah, she's really lovely. She's very cuddly. She's very affectionate. She's a little bit of a coward. Like, there's actually a place in the yard that she can escape, and she likes to look through it, see what's on the other side. But she's too much of a coward to try, so she's quickly outgrowing that little gap now anyway, so she can't get through. But like, it's just, and she's really mad that she can't crawl under the planters anymore because she's too big for that. Like, she's just grown so much since I got her. So, I mean, look at this. Look at this little giant the no bite command kind of works just once per bite. So now she's biting again. It's only so effective, but I've actually noticed, and my friend was saying this yesterday as well, because she's been visiting regularly, that her biting's decreased dramatically. It's very, very typical for the age, for anyone who's like worried that if you're not experienced with puppies. Puppies bite the same way that human children will put things in their mouth. Like that's just how they interact with the world. That's how they interact with you. It's fine. It's just very irritating, and probably need to replace my socks soon. There, now she went tired of me. This is wonderful. So I had some people tell me like, well, good luck getting some knitting done, Ellie. You're just going to be with the puppy all the time. Like, that's true, but because I have to be with her all the time, actually all I can do is knit. So I have actually got some knitting done, and we're sort of practicing keeping her away from the knitting and not, biting and pulling through it, and it's been pretty successful. I've not had any incidents like that or anything. She did on day 1 or 2 break my chagu needles that I accidentally dropped on the floor because they were in my lap. Because she pushed over a thing full of water on the floor for the 2nd time that day. And so I didn't realize I dropped it, and she chewed it to a point I can't really use the cable anymore. So that's a bummer. But in general, the destructive impulses are only so much. Like, she has a lot of toys. I play with her. We managed to teach her fetch. I think I did that yesterday. There's not something schnauzers are like that adept at. Like, I find other breeds are easier to teach fetch, but she actually got a pretty good hang of it. And now she's intent on refurnishing. She's moving her bed out the crate for reasons. So yeah, I have got a lot of knitting done. I have actually finished one design and nearly finished another one. And I know it's very tiring to hear me talk about all these designs because I haven't published any in a very long time because I have hang-ups, but I'm working on them. And I'm really eager to actually start putting things out there. Just gotta get to that. So those I probably won't be showing until I have like an actual plan for that, but I have started and finished someone else's design during this time, so I'm gonna have to like kind of talk you guys through the story so that I can sort of stretch out one jumper for this whole episode. Initially I came across this jumper in a knitting group that I go to. Someone was wearing it, and do you mind? And I thought that looked really, really cool because it was a mix of knit and crochet, which is really happening these days. And of course, pom-pom was ahead of the game there. And it turns out I have the pattern in a pom-pom that I already own. So this is it. It's not the easiest to see on these photos because it's photographed in this like very, very dark yarn and slightly shiny pages, but that's the best I can do. So it has like this V-neck of crochet granny squares. Both in the front and the back, but it's more of a V-neck in the front and it's a little bit sort of flattened out in the back. And all these, they didn't actually look like that many granny squares, but it's like over 30. So that took a whole skein, 100-gram skein. Oh, this might be a better one to show you actually. Actually, no, that's not helping at all. Okay, so all of those squares then have to be sewn together in that sort of roughly shape, and then you seam together those two shapes, the front and back through the shoulders. And I took some photos of that process for you just because it was such a huge transformation from having these squares to making that shape and then starting to pick up stitches from it and then start knitting. There are some very helpful illustrations in the pattern here that show you exactly how to assemble the squares per size. So that was super, super helpful. You're not kind of just left to figure it out and to make the shape, but there are instructions and sort of illustrated with arrows how to sew them together so that the lines that you get when sewing it sort of overlaps in specific ways and go in specific directions. And I first did that, I think for the back. And I didn't like how it looked, so it's a good chance I either misunderstood the directions or me, never having done any of this before, actually stumbled upon possibly a better way of doing it. I'm not entirely sure. So I actually reassembled the back piece twice. So first I did the back, wasn't happy with it. Experimented with the front to see if I maybe would do it a different way, where I'm basically carrying out one line of seaming in one go rather than breaking it off to do another thing or whatever. I'm not really explaining it well, but I'm also like not about to give away the secret pattern sauce. So after I liked what I did with the front more, I sort of gradually unpicked the back, but it just in the sections I was going to redo it, and then I redid it, and eventually I done it for the whole piece. But at least I didn't have to just undo all of it and leave all the squares scattered and then having to put them together again. They were sort of all still attached to where they'd been. So I don't know. This just felt like a smaller job, even though I was actually doing the whole thing all over again. It psychologically, it didn't feel so bad. Okay. I swear I love this little puppy, but my goodness. My goodness. She just gets very reactive when she hears my voice. Like, she's so relaxed at home. I love just sitting here and looking at her sitting in front of the patio door, and she just looks outside and she just looks so like philosophical, and it's just adorable. But unfortunately, when I talk, things are just very exciting. So, you know, she is the star of the show in this episode. Truly. I feel like there's gotta be important stuff here that I haven't mentioned about her, about the jumper. So other things about the jumper, I used the Fiber Company Lore. So the recommended yarn is one of the Gothenor organic yarns. I adore Gothenor. They have great yarns. They're great people. I didn't have any Gothenor, but I do have had the Fiber Company Lore in burgundy. So obviously I was gonna do that. So I guess I can't really do the usual thing where I actually show, bit by bit what I have done. I can only show you the entire piece, and here she is. But yeah, it's coming up like a very, very bright burgundy. It's probably more of a darker one. I think this is giving a better idea of the colors, but representing red on camera is probably like the hardest color to get right, I find. Like, if you ever tried photographing a sunset, then you know. So this is the front. You see the V-neck is pretty clear here. You can probably pick out every individual square. And you can see here, like, I've done the lines like very continuously that way and very continuously that way. That's the seaming. And I just like that a lot more than just like kind of breaking it off, maybe doing a little bit there, a little bit there, and a little bit, I don't know. I may have misread the pattern, like I said, but it was especially for the back that I just find that I was breaking off these lines when it actually looked a lot better when they were kind of carried a lot longer, which probably nobody else will notice, but I noticed. And then, how it is when you knit, you just notice way more detail than when you're actually finished and you're looking at it from afar, which is the source of most pattern questions. So yeah, it is really hard to hold up this jumper and show you because there is someone sort of nipping at the sleeves of this jumper, so that's just how that is. How are we in terms of modifications? Because any regular viewers will know that I modify everything, can't help myself. I get my designer brain turned on. I was like this before I didn't design as well, to be fair. But I actually didn't modify a whole lot. Like I said, I modified these sort of seaming lines together. And I think I maybe picked up 1 stitch less on each side for the neckline just because it just worked. The pickup rate worked better. But I modified the heck of the sleeves because, so sort of 2 reasons. One is it seems to be part of the designs that it's a very loose fitted jumper but kind of snug sleeves. So the upper arm measurements for my size is sort of on average about like sort of 35 centimeters, and I think in this pattern the upper arm for the jumper was 38 centimeters. And I went with quite a bit of ease, so I would have kind of expected a little bit more, because just adding just over an inch, of ease for the upper arm is just not a whole lot. And that's one thing, that's just my preference. I would have liked more ease for the sleeve. I think you always need more ease on the sleeves than you think. That being said, this is a top-down jumper, so you're picking up the stitches from the granny squares here. You work some short rows until you're here, and then you're pretty much working the sleeve like any other sleeve. Give me strength. And it has you decrease pretty much right away. And this is something I've talked about before. It's something you will see in a lot of top-down garment constructions where people basically just instruct you to start decreasing at such and such rate until you get to this, and then you knit to the full length of the sleeve. And that is the complete opposite of how we've traditionally been knitting bottom-up sleeves, because then you start increasing right away after the cuff, and you increase till you're done, and then you knit the rest of the length. And so you get a lot of length here for your full bicep, where you get to enjoy the full circumference of the sleeve. And that's not really happening in top-down garments where we tell people to decrease right away. So I think, my personal opinion, my little design opinion, and I have many, is that, shut up! It's that you just knit for a little bit longer. Just knit for a bit longer so you have that full circumference for the whole bicep, and then you start decreasing. And I generally find that the smaller the size, the longer you want to knit straight. Like if you have the smallest size in a size inclusive range, you can knit all the way down to the elbow before you start shaping. If you have the very biggest size, you don't need to knit that long before you start shaping, just because of the shape of the upper arm. I am sort of smack in the middle, so for me, I just do like a middle thing and I just knit sort of down to here maybe before I start decreasing. So I did that here. You can sort of see it is kind of a straight size for a bit, and then you decrease, and then yeah, it's still quite a subtle rate. So I quite like that, quite happy with that. I would have still preferred it to be a looser sleeve than this, but that was the stitch count that I got, and I was not about to modify something that has like this pretty advanced construction, right, where you have all these pickup stitches for crochet, a whole different craft than short row shaping that is made to work with that. Although it does seem to be an error in the pattern where it makes you do more short rows than there are stitches for it, but I just think that's the stitch count. I think it works out if you just work as many short rows as you can with the stitches that you have. I don't think there's a more serious error than that. You just carry on until you're out of stitches. I'm not seeing any problem with that. I've seen notes on Ravelry, people saying similar things, so that's really not a big issue. It's just what happens. So yeah, I was not about to start modifying that. I was tempted to see if I can maybe cast on more stitches under the arms so I could do that, have more stitches for the body and for the sleeves, because I could just have more use for the body. I just love a good big jumper, but I didn't, and maybe I should have. That could have solved the issue, and I have almost an entire skein of yarn left. But you know, I didn't know that at the time that I made that decision, because I'd used up so much yarn before I was finished with the yoke. So yeah, I was quite nervous that I wasn't going to have a lot left, but yeah, it turns out I did have nearly a whole skein left. Oh, now you're going to be quiet. Okay, great. Wonderful. At last. I'm hoping we get to a point where she just finds my voice soothing and just chills. So yeah, I think I probably did modify, I definitely did modify the length. I don't really consider that a modification. Everyone should modify length because we're all different heights and dimensions and all that stuff. That's like a pretty basic thing. As long as it's not like a sideways knit, then it's probably quite complicated. So yeah, it is shorter, but that's because I do not own trousers. It's always skirts and dresses with me. So, you know, that just makes sense for me. I don't think I need more length. And yeah, other than that, I have the split hem that sort of splits kind of in the front. I'm not sure how I feel about that, kind of like a side split personally. But I've seen this kind of happening a lot. I also don't get why the split is happening mid-rib rather than earlier in the rib. That I don't understand. But I did do a little cheeky modification where I sort of picked up 2 stitches behind the rib that's sort of done for the back, so that it sort of overlaps a little bit, and I just think that avoids any awkward gaps where the split happens. It's probably not necessary. I mean, it's definitely not necessary, but I was just kind of happy to experiment a little bit with that. Why not, you know? But yeah, other than that, I have not mentioned much about the design. I got distracted by someone. This is called Prairie Skies by Imke von Nathusius. Then probably you don't come to this podcast for accurate pronunciation, so I'm just gonna put up the name, and that's the focus on. We're gonna assume that's in focus. We hope. And it is from a very special issue of Pom Pom before they sort of cancelled the Pom Pom Quarterly series. It's the Farmer's Daughter fibers. And yeah, it's like a very, very cool collection. I think this one sold out pretty much instantaneously. I had a very hard time getting my mitts on this because at the time I actually did have a Pom Pom magazine subscription, but it kind of expires every 4 issues, so you need to like resubscribe every year. And this was the one I missed out on, and it was getting sold out, and I was like, how do I get it? But I did manage in the end. Oh my goodness, the chaos. Why couldn't you just be this relaxed in the beginning? That would have been wonderful. Goodness me, we're done talking about the knitting. It's like 25 minutes in. But yeah, I only have good things to say about this. I had, most importantly, a lot of fun with a completely new to me construction method that ultimately did become a yoke. It's a circle yoke at the end of the day. I love when people think differently about knitting construction wise and mixing up crafts, and I'm really excited to see this whole like blend of knitting and crochet. I swear, I feel like she's just gonna go pee on the floor now. The number of puddles I have wiped. But she's great. She's the gross stuff she does outside. She's great. I can't complain. Like, she's 3 months. She's doing great. This is like how me and some of my friends talk. We literally like bounce between topics. Maybe like my friends talking about one topic and I talk about another, and we just like go in between. Continuous. It's bonkers. It's just how we talk. So there. Just big shout out to the pattern. If I was gonna do another one, I'm not doing another one. But if I was gonna do another one, something I would have liked to have done is like a sort of. You can't really do this. Like, a lot of people think you can do this, but there's a lot of things that just go completely off. If you try, you could try and it'd be fine. But like, I would have liked to have done a lighter weight, tighter gauge version. But the reason I'm like saying that's not necessarily gonna work, it's gonna be a very small, tight neckline. But I just would like the idea of like having just like a little bit of crochet around the neckline instead of like this like hole over the shoulder thing. So like a smaller gauge version where the squares are just smaller and a little bit more like just like a little necklace kind of. I think I would have really liked to done. Not gonna. It sounds very difficult to figure out, but that's something I think I like the idea of. I am gonna put it on, even though, well, I always run hot when I record for reasons. I just get excited talking about knitting, you know what I mean? So, I don't think I've actually put this on since booking it, so. Ta-da! It fits. Whoa. Sleeves are a bit long, actually. And I'm not complaining about that. I think the sleeves are just long because the yoke is long, and that's part of the design, like it is an oversized fit. And oh my days. I feel so pretty. I'm wearing burgundy. Ooh, ooh. And I love the idea that you can like see whatever you're wearing underneath through the crochet holes. I wear all black, so just for some reason not today. So that's gonna look really cool with this jumper. Ah, this is great. And just big shout out to Lore by Fiber Company. It's beautiful lamb's wool. It's not the softest lamb's wool around, but it's also not the prickliest. I am feeling a slight, but that's just because it's too warm to wear knitwear today. It's July. It's just, yeah, so it's just straight up 100% wool. I've been a fan of this since they let me try it for like a sort of beta launch before the proper launch, and it's just nice. Oh, this jumper, I really like the fit as well. Like, it is very loose fitting, which I just love. Like, I can just be comfortable with whether I'm sitting or standing, and I do a lot of sitting. So, and I kind of like, I know lots of knitters wear the knitwear differently, and that's also why we use different fibers and we juggle between merino and superwash and not. Personally though, knitting is layering pieces for me. I don't, if I wear wool next to skin, it's probably gonna be more like some store-bought merino underwear, what have you. So when I knit, I tend to use as layering pieces. I will almost definitely be wearing something underneath. To me, they function more as jackets almost. I don't actually think I use jackets, I just use knitwear. But yeah, shout out to Prairies, guys. Great pattern. Do have a go at it. I had, yeah, just fun with it. It was just nice to like first start off with these little granny squares as I was sitting there just feeling really, really tired, and then I could bring them on the train when I was picking up Embla. And I mean, I could not be crocheting when I was taking her back, but it was just like a very nice portable project until I was assembling it all, which is what I did when I first had her here, and I just had to keep my eyes on her all the time, which hasn't really changed. But you know, it was a nice small project that she was never going to be able to reach. It was just like a square at a time. I can put them in the center of the coffee table. Really easy to have for that. And then by the time, you know, we've been a bit more acquainted with each other, I had assembled it and I was knitting as a regular jumper. So that was just perfect to have for that. And yeah, generally I find her a pretty knitting friendly puppy. Like, a lot of the time she's just sleeping on my lap and I'm knitting, and as long as she's more interested in sleeping, then that works really well. And by the time she's like kind of like, oh, what are you doing? Can I have a little chew on that? I'm like, sounds like someone needs to go outside and maybe have a bit of a drink or something to eat. Do you want to come here? Hey, Embla. I know her name is Embla, but I do call her Baby an awful lot. I think she thinks her name is Baby. Yeah, yes you are. She's so cute. Like, she's so cute. But yeah, like I said, I am amazed at how much she has grown. Like, she was like 2.5 kilos, I think, when I got her. And look at her now. Look at this big girl. She's probably gonna double in size and then she's pretty much done. But yeah, she's been doing pretty well. But I was truly, by the way, the knitting is over. If there were, that was the knitting. I don't have anything else to talk about knitting wise. We're just gonna talk about Embla. So if you're not interested in that, see you next time. But yeah, one thing I was not at all prepared for that I think I mentioned briefly earlier is that you really just are stuck alone with the puppy for the first 6 weeks because they need to get a vaccine at 12 weeks. Then you've had them 4 weeks. And finally we went and got the vaccine this Monday. And then the vet tells me that, yeah, there's going to be another 2 weeks for the vaccine to kind of kick in before she can actually go outside and meet other dogs. So what I've been doing so far is sometimes I'll just go on a walk with her in a sling. She's kind of not really enjoying the sling anymore. It just wants to stand up in it, and that's not really how it's made for. And so lately we've been trying to do some walks in places where we're not going to be meeting other dogs, which it's London, you kind of do tend to meet other dogs at some point. So I have to explain to them, sorry, vet's order, she's not vaccine ready yet, she can't meet other dogs, and they're very understanding. So apparently that's like a very known thing in the UK that was just not familiar to me from Norway. That we've never done that. I think maybe the vaccine schedule is different there. I don't know. We've always taken them out on the walk right away if, you know, we had other dogs that needed walking anyway. Like it's, and they don't need a lot of walks in the beginning, to be fair. But for me, being alone here with just her, having, you know, been used to being in a flat chair with people around, and now it's just me, just her, 6 weeks, I just got a little bit loopy. Just that. I thought we were going to be able to go out and about earlier. I really did. I was not properly explained this. Not that I would have changed my decision. It just, yeah, it just felt very stuck. And at least I haven't been alone, right? You've been here. It's been good. We've had friends visiting. So there's that. She's not barking that much yet, but I'm a bit worried about that because she now says bark a lot. And she's barking at one neighbor in particular because he has a German Shepherd that he walks by. So yeah, she's not having that. She's not having that. She's generally quite cautious. I wouldn't say she's like a scaredy dog. Like she's not trembling. She's not like, you know, I've seen dogs that are afraid, that they're afraid. She's not afraid. She is just very, very cautious. She'd prefer to stay in the background and kind of examine things before she jumps at it. She's not brave by any means. So yeah, that's kind of her personality. She has a lot of confidence at home and then out and about, not so much. But I've seen a huge change in that lately, especially now that we've been practicing walking with a lead. She's been doing really, really well. She doesn't like the harness. She'd like chews on the lead, and it's just, yeah, that's not great. But we're getting there. She's just made huge progress in the past couple of days, so can't complain really. You're gonna sleep here. Why can't you do that from the beginning? Why? Truly. Oh baby, oh baby, baby, baby. Don't bite. I did that. But yeah, I'm very excited for the 1 week we have left where she can be out with other dogs. It means I can place it with dog babysitters if I need to be away for longer. It's going to be even better when she's house trained and I can have her over at friends. Everything's getting better. But yeah, it's been a huge ordeal to be doing completely on my own. I miss going out and seeing people. It's also quite irritating just how many establishments that don't allow you to bring dogs in, which is completely understandable because there's a difference between dog and dog, you know, like some people will bring a massive dog that drags in a bunch of mud and touches the products that they're selling and stuff like that. And that's not great, but been having her in a sling, she can't reach anything, and that's been a bit frustrating. Like if I just want to grab an ice cream around the corner, it's like I had to wait for weeks until she could be left alone for 10 minutes. Not great. Yes, you are. You're so cute. You're so cute. You're so cute. I also look forward to a time where Embla is used to me recording for the podcast and just sitting and chatting and doesn't get overexcited and can just sit on my lap the way she's doing now. Because that's how I imagined this going in the beginning. I thought we would, yeah. Anyway, I'm almost done with the jumper that I'm designing that I've not shown you. It's yellow. I'll tell you that much. So I think I might want to cast on something someone else designed. I have one pattern in mind that I think is going to be pretty exciting. I just can't remember the name of the pattern or designer. So you're going to have to wait and see till next time. But that's kind of what I'm sort of itching to do now. And it will allow me to use a sweater quantity that I previously thought was probably a little bit short on yarn. I don't think it's too little for that jumper, and it's still going to be quite a loose fit. So, and long sleeves. That's kind of all I care about. I just want long sleeves and loose fit. I'm an easy gal. That's all I want. Oh baby. Oh baby, you're so cute. Oh, you're so cute. You're so cute. Okay, you're gonna stop being ridiculous now. Oh baby. Oh baby, baby. Baby, baby. Okay, with that, I'm just gonna catch you guys later and we'll see how much progress we've made. Yes? You're gonna show it? Yes. Wonderful. Okay, bye bye.